Voir dire examination of Nathan Klein, Day 2. Voir dire examination by Attorney Fallon. Question. Good morning, Mr. Klein. Answer. Good morning. Question. My name is Tom Fallon, and I'm an Assistant Attorney General with the Wisconsin Department of Justice. I'm one of the prosecutors in this case. To my immediate left is Mr. Ken Kratz, the District Attorney from Calumet County, and the lead prosecutor in this case. Good morning, and thanks for coming. We would like to ask a few follow-up questions about some of the information you provided last week in the questionnaire. And after I'm done, Mr. Buting will ask a few questions of you, and then perhaps the court. I would like to begin a little bit, I think first off, with your employment. I see that you are currently employed at the Burger Boat Company. Answer. Correct. Question. All right. And are you a carpenter? Answer. Correct. Question. All right. And how long have you been a carpenter? Answer. 2 years at Burger Boat. Question. I'm sorry. Answer. 2 years at Burger Boat. Question. 2 years. And so would you say your vocation, as it were, is woodworking then? Answer. Yes. Question. And how long have you been involved in that pursuit? Answer. Since high school. Question. All right. And how long would that be? 7, 8 years? Answer. Yeah. Question. Now, am I correct? I wanted to follow up with one of your other activities. Some may call it employment, some may call it volunteer work, but I see that there's a notation here that you do some volunteer firefighting. Answer. That is correct. Question. With the town of Two Rivers? Answer. Yep. Question. How long have you been involved in that? Answer. The past 4 years. Question. 4 years? And have you actually had occasion to go out and use those skills and fight some fires? Answer. Yes, many. And accidents. Question. All right. And what other duties as a volunteer fireman are you occasionally called upon to do other than fight fires or respond to accidents? Answer. Sometimes helping out with the community with searches such as this case. Question. Right. Answer. Do volunteering for Salvation Army to ring the bells at local establishments. Question. Okay. Answer. That's about it. Question. All right. Do you enjoy that work? Answer. Yes. Question. All right. The reason I ask is, the question you gave, and as you have just indicated now, volunteer searchers much like were employed in this case. So let me ask you a little bit about that. You indicated in your questionnaire that you had planned on assisting in the search for Teresa Hallbuck, since apparently other members of your department did participate. Answer. That's correct. Question. All right. And if I may, what happened that resulted in your not participating? Answer. It happened to fall on a weekday, the day that we were gathering to go, and I was not able to. You have enough vacation to use to go out and do the search. Question. So you had other work responsibilities? Answer. Correct. For Burger Boat Company. Question. At the Burger Boat? Is that? Answer. Yes. Question. Okay. Since you missed out on that opportunity, if it had fallen on, let's say, a vacation day or a holiday of sorts, would you have participated then? Answer. Yes. Question. Did you have any discussions or with any of those of your colleagues who did participate in the search? Answer. Briefly, yes. As to what, at this time, I don't really recall. Question. Okay. You don't recall any discussion or anything you had with them regarding what they may have seen or done or heard or any of that? Answer. just one story of a possum or some type of animal that was inside a vehicle that one of the guys stirred up and got startled by it. But, question, all right, so, answer, more or less small talk and nothing of, major. Question, small talk and humorous anecdotes? Answer, right. Question, and not much substance? Answer, correct. Yes. Question, okay. And how many of those conversations do you think you had? Answer, a few. Less than 5, I will say. Question, less than 5? Answer, yes. Question, and when was the last time you would have talked with any of your colleagues about that search or their role in the search for Teresa Halbach? Answer, talking was probably done a week after it happened. Question, all right. Answer, everything settled down at that time. Question, you haven't had any recent discussions with any of those colleagues about the case? Answer, no. Question, okay. Was there anything about even the humour part of it, was there anything about that makes you wonder or doubt in your mind whether you could be fair and impartial in this case if you were selected as a juror? Answer, not necessarily, no. Question, I'm sorry, not necessarily? Answer, no. Question, okay, all right. Well, I would like to talk a little bit about the media coverage of this case and your familiarity with it. Where would you say you get most of your news from? Radio? Television? Answer, radio. Question, radio? Answer, yes. Question, and why would that be? Answer, radio is played all day at work, every day. Question, and what hours do you normally work? Answer, 7 till 3:30. Question, and is that a 5-day-a-week job? Answer, yes. Question, Monday through Friday? Answer, correct. Question, okay. When you get home from work, do you watch the television or do you do chores or have some fun? Or what do you do in your off hours? Answer, I do chores. Question, all right. And while the chores are being done, do you listen to the radio or listen to the television while you're doing things or not? Answer, usually the television is on, yes. Question, all right. Is it on news channel, sports channel, or what generally is on in the background, as it were? Answer, cops, actually. Question, cops? Answer, yeah. Question, okay, all right. What can you recall now about the coverage of this case? Is there any particular information, particular story or fact that kind of, sits in your mind right now? Answer, burning barrel. Question, the burning barrel? Answer, yep. Question, all right. What else sticks in your mind? Answer, the camera, the burning barrel, the vehicle, the nephew. Question, okay. What fact or what information about the nephew sticks in your memory right now? Answer, his admittance to part of this. Question, all right. Can you recall any of the details or any of the information that is attributed to him? Answer, meaning as what he admitted to? Question, right. Answer, the cutting of hair, taking part of the actions? Question, okay. Do you remember what he supposedly had done? Answer, I believe I remember him saying that he had cut portions of her hair. Question, okay. Answer, would you like me to go into more detail? Question, well, it would be helpful for us. We're trying to have an idea as to how familiar you may or may not be with some of the facts in this case. Answer, taking part in the rape of her? Question, okay. Anything else that you recall? Answer, them are the ones that stand out the most to me. Question. Okay. Answer. Oh, and the school bus driver seeing her after 3:30. Question. Okay. And is the TV the primary source of that information, or is that the radio, or is it fuzzy in your head? Answer. I couldn't tell you exactly which was for what. Question. Okay. Answer. But I would say 75% radio, 25% television. Question. Okay. Now, as a result of that information, you are asked some questions in the questionnaire as to whether or not you formed any opinion based on the information that was available in the media. And you answered, it's hard to say, the news is so one-sided. One should hear both sides, and the nephew's confession doesn't help him. When you say it doesn't help him, are you referring to Mr. Dassey or Mr. Avery? Answer. Mr. Avery. Question. All right. Court reporter asked him to repeat. Answer. Mr. Avery. Question. Now, can you elaborate on that? When you say the news is so one-sided, what do you mean by that? Answer. A lot of times when the news would start, you would see the picture of Stephen Avery with the black and white striped jail suit. Question. Right. Answer. Almost implying that he's guilty already before the court has done their thing. Question. Okay. So what did you think about that? Is that fair or unfair? Answer. Very unfair, I believe. Question. Okay. Well, tell us about that. Why is that unfair? Answer. Because it's giving the public the presumption that he is already guilty. Question. All right. And he's entitled to the presumption of innocence, correct? Answer. Right. Entitled to a fair trial. Question. Right. And he remains innocent until the state proves him guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Is that right? Answer. That's correct. Question. All right. And if you were selected as a jury person in this case, would you be able to accept that principle and apply it as the judge instructed you? Answer. Yes. Question. All right. Now, do you expect Mr. Avery to prove anything in this case? Answer. Yes. Yeah, I would. Question. All right. And what would that be? What do you think he needs to prove? Answer. To prove that he is not guilty, not the guilty one of this. To question. Okay. If the court were to tell you, and I would imagine, in fact, I'm quite confident the court will tell you, that Mr. Avery doesn't have to prove anything and that only the state, the only party with a burden of proof is the state, and the only thing that has to be proved is whether he is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Do you understand that? Answer. Yeah. Question. All right. And if, for instance, Mr. Avery chose not to present any evidence and just simply picked apart the state's case, if you were not satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt of his guilt, would you vote for not guilty? Even if he did not put on any case, he just criticised the state's case? Answer. It would be difficult to not hear his side of the story if he was... Question. All right. Answer. Not to. Question. And if the court instructed you that they don't have to present any evidence, that they may just simply criticise the state's case, and that would be it, would you still be able to follow up that direction? Answer. As long as the solid evidence is brought forward and can be proven. Question. All right. So in other words, if the state does prove to you beyond a reasonable doubt, you would vote that he was guilty. Answer. I guess. Yes. Yes. Question. Okay. In answer to a question regarding scientific evidence, do you have any special interest in any type of scientific analysis, such as fingerprint, hair, or DNA? You indicated yes. And then in your description, you said not to pursue it, but in court it was very dependable. Can you tell us what you mean by that? Answer. It's factual. It's 100% correct. if you can scientifically prove it as to what it is, where it is, when it happened, that's cold, hard evidence. In my opinion, that can make or break a case. It will tell you whether you are guilty or not. Question. All right. So are you suggesting that as someone who would be asked to evaluate and weigh the evidence, you would give greater weight to the scientific evidence because you think it's more accurate than, say, testimony from witnesses? Answer. Yes. Question. Okay. What about the people who are presenting the evidence, the scientific evidence? Do you find them more believable than someone, say, who is not a scientist or a doctor? Answer. Yes. Question. Why would that be? Answer. More credible. They have more at risk. Question. And is that because they have more information regarding the topic they are talking about, or just because they are a scientist? Answer. Because they know more about it in general. As a whole, I mean, it's what they do. Question. All right. Well, what would happen in your mind if you had two scientists who disagreed? They'd run the same test and one scientist says, well, I think it's A. And the other guy says, no, I think it's B. What would you do with that? Answer. Get some more scientists. Question. I'm sorry. Answer. Get some more scientists. Question. Get some more scientists. Well, that's a good answer, but let's assume for the sake of our discussion that resources are limited and we can't just run out and get another scientist. So how would you evaluate their testimony? Answer. I guess you would have to go to the next best thing, a step below. Question. Okay. And what do you think? Answer. Go from there. Question. What would that be? Answer. Any other type of evidence or eyewitness, whatever the case may be. I mean, the next best. Question. Well, I guess what I'm driving at here is, would you be able to evaluate the scientist's testimony the same way you evaluate the testimony of the lay witnesses to make a determination as to who is more credible or whose theory carries the day? Answer. Yes. I mean, one will obviously make more sense to one person than another. Question. All right. You indicated also in your questionnaire that on one occasion you witnessed a hit and run accident and filed a report. Is that correct? Answer. Correct. Question. Are you aware as to how that may or may not have turned out? Answer. No. Question. All right. You never received any more information or any feedback on your answer? Nope. Question. Okay. How did you feel about that? Answer. Kind of hurt in a way, actually, that a citizen takes time out of his day to pursue a suspect that struck a school bus and kept going. Question. Okay. Answer. And I followed the individual to their residence or whatever. They ended up parking and the police did come and I filed a report with them. And that was the last I ever heard of it. Question. All right. So you don't know if the particular person was ever prosecuted and convicted or whatever? Answer. Nope. I have no idea. Question. Well, since you don't know the outcome, let me ask this. The fact that no one advised you as to what was happening or what occurred as a result of your report, does that create some concern for you in terms of dealing with law enforcement or other witnesses that may appear in this case? Answer. No, I don't believe it has any bearing on this. Question. All right. Now you indicated you have a cousin who's a law enforcement officer. Answer. Yeah, Eloise or Green Bay or... Question. I'm sorry. Answer. In Green Bay, Brown County. Question. Brown County. Answer. Something like that. Question. You gave us his name here. Is he a Brown County sheriff or is he a police officer in one of the municipalities? Apologies. Answer. I think he is a sheriff. I'm not 100% on it. Question. Okay. Answer. I don't have regular contact with him. Question. All right. So he is not family, or is he? Answer. He's a cousin of mine. Question. A cousin? Answer. But we're not, real close that we see each other. Anything like that. Question. Okay. Answer. Once a year? Question. Special holidays you might run into him? Answer. Right. Question. Okay. So you don't have occasion to talk with him about his work? Answer. No. Question. Okay. You've also expressed some familiarity with a case involving a co-worker who apparently was convicted of involuntary manslaughter. Answer. Yes. Yes. Question. How long ago did that happen? Answer. I worked with this individual probably 6, 7 years ago, and I'm sure this case happened well before that, probably when he was younger. Question. Oh? Answer. It's nothing that was recent, but that's the closest thing I could think of to this question. Question. Okay, so it was not like that it happened when you were working together and he had to serve some time? Answer. No. Question. This was something he told you about after the fact? Answer. Yes. Yes. Question. All right. Did that have any particular lasting impression on you in terms of the justice system at all? Answer. No. Question. Did he think he was treated fairly? Answer. I never really asked him. Question. All right. Answer. Or nor was it spoke of too much, Question. All right. Did you have any impression from him as to how he might feel about that experience based on the discussion you had with him? Answer. Like I say, I felt sorry for him more than anything. Question. All right. Any chance in your mind that the experience, as related to you by the co-worker, would have any effect on your ability to be a juror in this case? Answer. No. Question. Do you have any friends or relatives or anybody that works in the news business? Answer. No. Question. Okay. Do you own a computer? Answer. Yes. Question. All right. Do you use the internet for a news source for you? Answer. No. No. Question. All right. And what do you use your computer for? Answer. Searching for items, information, and email. Question. Okay. Do you ever use it to buy and sell anything? Answer. No. No. Question. Pay bills or anything? Answer. Rarely. Question. Okay. Have you ever heard of a publication called the Auto Trader magazine? Answer. Yes. Question. Do you read it or use it from time to time? Answer. Yes. Question. You do? Answer. Yes. Question. I'm sorry, I don't mean to. Answer. Yes, from time to time. Question. All right. Have you ever purchased a vehicle or sold a vehicle or anything with the use of Auto Trader? Answer. I don't believe so. Question. All right. Have you used it to find perhaps a vehicle that might be of interest to you? Answer. Yes, and compare prices and mileage. Question. Okay. Do you know any of the people that work for that magazine by any chance? Answer. No. Question. Okay. As a carpenter and a woodworker at the company, I would imagine that shop safety and equipment safety might be important considerations for you. Answer. On a daily basis, yes. Question. All right. In your capacity as a carpenter, have you ever participated in writing up any safety standards or guidelines or things of that sort to help manage the production of products? Answer. No. Never to write up anything or put into effect. Question. All right. Have your opinions ever been sought by anyone who is putting together some kind of safety guidelines or policy for, say, the use of a piece of equipment or the creation of a particular product? Answer, yes, yes. I'm on the safety committee at Burger Boat Company. Question, you are? Answer, we meet monthly and always discuss on what we can do better or how to make things safer. Question, do you enjoy participating in that type of work? Answer, yes. It reflects on my volunteer firefighting and first responder training. Question, okay. Do you watch movies at all in your spare time or? Answer, not many. Question, not many. Okay. Do you consider yourself a detail-orientated guy or more of a big picture person? Answer, very detail-orientated. Question, okay. Any particular examples you can give us? Answer, my job. Question, all right. Let's talk about that. Are you a rough carpenter or a finished carpenter? Answer, finished carpenter. Question, okay. And your carpentry work has been primarily as a finished carpenter? Answer, yes. I had rough carpentry experience. Question, sure. Answer, plenty of that, yes, but... Question, okay. And the carpentry work that you are doing, can you give us some examples of the types of work you do? Answer, I'm a level 3 carpenter at Burger Boat, top level, and right now I am running the pilot house on one of the boats that we're putting out. It's kind of a one-person room where the boat is controlled from, so I'm in the process of doing that entire room by myself. Question, okay. Answer, which is a question? It's a big project? Answer, I have a big responsibility. Question, sure. Now, do you occasionally supervise other help, or is this pretty much your show? Answer, I supervise other help, yes. Question, you do? Answer, yes. Question, okay. Do you enjoy the supervisory role? Answer, yes. Makes me feel good that I'm teaching somebody else something. Question, all right. So you like that instructor aspect of it? Answer, to a point, yes. Question, a little frustrating, I imagine, from time to time? Answer, it can be, yes. Question, do you have a tendency to exact the same standards of professionalism from those you supervise as you do from yourself? Answer, yes. Question, all right. As I recall, you do not have any prior jury experience. Is that correct? Answer, that's correct. Question, all right. Is there anything about the jury process or being a juror who's asked to deliberate on guilt or innocence of another person? Is there anything about that process you think might be a problem for you, that you might not be able to perform that duty? Answer, that duty in itself, if I were to be selected, it wouldn't be a problem. Question, okay. Answer, I would step up and do it, but overall, I prefer not to. Question, not to have to do it? Answer, yes. Question, but if you were called upon to perform the service, you would be able to do it? Answer, yes, I would. Question, okay, that's fair enough. Attorney Fallon, I will pass the juror. The court, Mr. Buting. Attorney Buting, thank you, Judge. Voir dire examination by Attorney Buting. Question, Mr. Klein, I'm Jerome Buting. This is Attorney Dean Strang, and we're representing Mr. Avery. Okay, you probably saw us last week briefly, but this is our first chance to talk. I see you have got a 6-week-old little girl. Answer, yes, that's correct. 7 now. Question, are you getting any sleep? Answer, a couple hours a night, yes. Question, she's still keeping you up quite a bit. Answer, yeah. Question, would that be a problem if you were selected on the jury, do you think? Answer, it could be for my wife's sake more, without me there being able to help as much or throughout the day. Question, but do you think you would be able to at least get a night's sleep? Answer, I could get enough sleep to function, yes. I would not be sleeping. Question, okay. Answer, during the day. Question, a lot of us have been through that, and it's sometimes very difficult to get enough sleep to be functioning during the day. But you think you could do that? Answer, yes. Question. Okay, let me ask you. I'm going to go over a number of things that Mr. Fallon already did, but I have some others as well. The information that you learned from the media, radio, or whatever, you also mentioned, though, that you have learned information. You get news from co-workers? Answer, correct. Question, what kind of information about this case have you gotten from them, do you think? Answer, nothing, greater than what was expressed on the news the day before. Just small talk at work the next day after the news was published. Question, do people sort of speculate about various theories of what happened? Answer, yes. There's speculation of guilty and not guilty. Kind of depends on the day or what was last broadcast on the news. Question, right. And have you been exposed to people who have got their theories that he is guilty? And if so, what are those? What are you hearing? Answer, just like I said, yeah. Some people say he is guilty and some don't. What more are you looking for? Question, is it more 50-50 or is it more people thinking he is guilty than not guilty? Or, are you hearing both equally? Answer, it depends on the day. Question, okay. Answer, what was on the news? Question, okay. Speaking of what was last seen on the news, how recent have you heard anything on the news or heard co-workers talking about anything on the news? Answer, at work? It's hard. You can't get away from a radio at work. You try to stay away from it, but you can't. There's radios everywhere and they are on constantly. So it would have been Monday morning. Question, this week? Answer, yes. Question, did you try and avoid listening to? Answer, yes, been difficult areas and sometimes you come across it, but I have tried to avoid the radio, but have not been able to the entire time. Question, okay, did you hear some discussion in the news about a blood vial? Answer, yes. Question, can you give me a summary of what you heard about that? Answer, they were going to test it for the chemical in the blood to see if it was in fact blood from the vial that was stored in the Manitowoc courthouse. Question, okay, and so you learned it was stored. You heard that whole story, basically? Answer, yes. Question, so you have heard information about some of what the defence is as well? Answer, yes. Question, have you formed any opinions about that this is a crazy defence or it's a possible defence? Answer, it's very possible. Question, okay. Answer, the tests should tell us. Question, okay. What if the test can't tell you? What if in this instance science won't be able to prove one way or the other, the source? Answer, it's on to the next. Question, then you look at something else? Answer, correct. Question, you also mentioned that you heard really quite a bit about Brendan Dassey's statements. Answer, yes. Question, initial statements, right? Answer, yes. Question, have you also heard of other reports where he has recanted that statement? Answer, yes. Question, where he's denied it and said it was false and all of that? Answer, yes. Question, and have you heard information about how evidence may or may not support or corroborate that? Answer, not in detail by any means, and I can't really say if I ever heard that or not. Question, okay, that's fair. You put quite a bit of faith in science, I understand, right? Answer, yes. Question, and you like it. Is that because it's cut and dried, or you hope that it's cut and dried? Answer, I would hope that it's cut and dried, yes. Question, what about if there's a lack of science? lack of evidence that can be scientifically proved where you might think there should be? Answer: I would think we could do more to obtain it. I would think that there are ways of getting it, unless there would be a time restriction upon it. Question: Okay, well, what if you expect science to be able to help corroborate what someone says? Answer: Yes, I would hope that it can, to put more faith in what that person has actually said. Question: Okay, and if in fact it seems to disprove it or doesn't corroborate what someone says, what effect does that have? Answer: That would lead me to believe that the person has got the wrong information that they are telling us. Question: Okay, either inaccurate or just false? Answer: Correct. Question: Okay, you said that I forgot how you put it, people presenting the evidence, whether they are actual scientists or perhaps technicians, you would tend to think or view them as more credible. Answer: Correct. Question: Because they have more at risk. What did you mean by that? Answer: It's their life, it's their livelihood, it's their job, it's what they depend on, it's what they do every day. Question: Do you think that they can make mistakes? Answer: Everybody makes mistakes, yes. Question: Okay, and that sometimes the results, the science they produce, might be mistaken because they make mistakes? Answer: Yes, it can be. Question: And are you capable of looking at the whole picture to see whether or not, have you ever heard the phrase garbage in, garbage out? Answer: Yes. Question: Okay, so you have to look very carefully and listen to the witnesses very carefully to understand if the results are the kind of science that you hope it would be? Answer: Yes. Question: Okay, now given what you have heard, all you have heard about this nephew's story in the news media, what if you didn't hear any of that at the trial? Would you be able to put all that aside? Answer: It would be difficult, but to put it aside, it can be done. Question: So what if the state didn't call Brendan Dassey at all and you never heard from him? Answer: I guess we would have to go on to the next and try to prove it another way, but it seemed like it was a major information that could be used one way or another. Question: And would you hold that against the state, that somehow, well, if they are not putting on that evidence, they must not, they are hiding something, or they don't have, maybe it's not true, or would you be speculating about that? Answer: I don't know if I would hold it against them either way, if they put him on or if they took him off. I just know that this information probably would be critical to the case. Question: Okay, but if the judge instructed you that you have to really put aside all of that and forget all of that and really decide this case just on the evidence that comes into court, and that you can consider maybe lack of evidence that comes in, but not focusing and speculating about other things you have heard, would you be able to follow that? Answer: Yes. Question: Okay, did you, if you have heard about how Brendan Dassey has recanted at some point, have you ever encountered or heard of people who have confessed falsely? Answer: No. Question: Can you think of any reasons why someone would confess to something they didn't do when they are being talked to by the police? Answer: No, I can't possibly think why somebody would confess to something that they have not done. Question: You have never heard of any situations where people have actually falsely confessed and then it turns out to be not to be true? Answer: No. Question: Okay, so that would be a completely new experience for you. Answer: Yes. Question: Do you think it's impossible that someone would do that or could do that? Answer: I'm sure there are people that do it, but like I said, I don't see why anybody would, or for what reason. Question: Okay. Do you think it's possible that sometimes people feel pressured by the police to say things that they wouldn't otherwise? Answer. I could never see myself doing it. I guess there may be a possibility, and I'm sure there is a possibility because I'm sure people have done it. But I don't see any reason why or to what pressure the police could put on you to make you to confess to something. Question. But would you be able to listen to witnesses that talked about not how you or what you would do, not evaluate it in terms of whether you would do something? Answer. Right. Question. But whether or not someone else would falsely confess? Answer. Would I be able to listen to it? Yes. Question. Okay. Now your cousin is a deputy sheriff, you believe? Answer. Yeah. Question. And you work as a volunteer fireman. You probably work with some law enforcement? Answer. Correct. Question. Officers as well? Answer. Yep. Question. Do you ever work with Manitowoc County sheriffs? Answer. Yes. Question. Which ones? Answer. Specific names? Question. Do you know? Answer. I don't know the specific name, but there is usually a certain police officer individual that's kind of in our territory that usually gets to the same accident calls that we're at or blocks down the road for house fires. But I don't know his name. No. Question. Okay. So is it not, is it necessarily the same person every time? Answer. No, not every time. But a lot of the time he is the same one, usually there. Question. And is your only encounter with that deputy when you're at, like, the scene of an accident or something like that? Answer. Yes, yes. Question. Traffic control or whatever? Answer. Yep. Question. So you don't really discuss his or her work? Answer. No. Question. Do you think that police officers who would come into court and take the oath and testify are necessarily more truthful than the ordinary average witness? Answer. Yeah, I would say they are a little more truthful. Yes. Question. Okay. Why? Answer. They have a higher job and a higher duty to withhold and stand up for. Question. Okay. Do you think that? So you think then the police are less likely to lie about something under oath than the ordinary person? Answer. Yes. Question. Do you think they would? Does that mean that they would not ever? Answer. No. Anybody can lie. I'm not saying a police officer does not lie. Question. Okay. Answer. So? Question. Do you think sometimes police get personally involved in an investigation and convince themselves that? Answer. Yes. Yeah. Question. Convince themselves that this person is guilty and they got to make sure that he's convicted? Answer. Yes. Question. Do you think sometimes police would cross the line in order to try and make sure that they think the right person is? Answer. I would hope that's not how it works, but yeah, it can happen. Question. Okay. Answer. It could happen. Question. All right. Let me go back for just 1 minute. Your wife, is she off work? I assume on maternity leave? Answer. Yes. Question. Would you have financial hardship if you were selected for the jury then? Answer. It would make things extremely tight. I'm aware now that we're eligible for unemployment, but it is not up to what I currently make. There wouldn't be a lot of extra things going on at my household. Question. But you think you could get by for 6 weeks? Answer. Prefer not to, but yes, it could be done. Question. If it's your duty and you are selected, you could do it? Answer. Yes, I would step up. Question. Okay, I appreciate that. You work with your hands? Answer. Yep. Question. And I know you try to follow safety procedures, right? Answer. Yes. Question. But do you often get little cuts and things on your hands when you're working with your hands? Answer. Yes. Question. All right. Mr. Fallon talked about some things or asked you about whether you would expect to hear or would like to hear Mr. Avery's side of the case. Do you recall that? Answer. Yes. Question. And that brings up a quandary for any defense attorney because you have got this sort of catch-22 when you are trying to advise your client, should you testify or not testify? If the defendant takes a stand, some people will maybe think he's just trying to save his own skin. He is self-interested. Why should we believe what he says? And yet he's a witness or she's a witness in the case, whatever it is. Would you be able to judge Mr. Avery as a witness if he testifies just like any other witness? Answer, yes. Question, and not discount what he says just because he's a defendant and has an interest in the case? Answer, yes. Question, if the judge instructed you, could you follow that kind of an instruction? Answer, yes. Question, and then on the other hand, if he didn't testify, that's the other fear that defense attorneys sometimes have. Well, is the jury going to think that he has something to hide? You know, why doesn't he testify? A lot of people want to hear both sides. Answer, I would want to hear both sides as well. Question, and can you think of any reason, though, why sometimes a defendant may not testify that has nothing to do with whether they are guilty or have anything to hide? Answer, I could not think of a reason why one would not want to testify for himself or herself. Question, well, can you conceive of people who maybe don't speak well in public or aren't articulate, get confused, things like that, they are concerned about? Answer, I don't think that would be something that should prevent one from doing that. Question, and what about, what if their attorney says, I don't think you should testify? I mean, that's a factor if you have to consider. Answer, yes. Repeat what you are asking. Question, well, let me ask you this. If Mr. Avery didn't testify, would that affect you and your ability to be fair and render a proper verdict? Answer, I would continue with getting to the verdict. I guess it would have some bearing on it that he would not speak for his own defense. Question, okay, but now you will hear, or you may hear, the judge instruct you, if that would occur, that every person has a constitutional right not to testify, and part of that because it's not in the defendant's burden to prove that he's innocent, right? Answer, okay. Question, and if the judge instructs you that you have to look at the state's case and the defendant doesn't have to testify and assume any kind of burden of proof, and that you have to therefore not consider or speculate why he did or didn't testify, would you be able to follow that kind of an instruction? Answer, yes. If that were the instruction from the judge and that's what we had to follow and that's what we had to do, that's where we'd go from it. Question, okay. Now, in this case, though you know I'm concerned because of all the theories that people talk about that you have heard, and I'm concerned that you may say, well, if Mr. Avery didn't do it, who did? Answer, correct. Question, I mean, that's only natural, right? Answer, that's exactly what I would think. Question, but you understand that if the judge instructs you that you can't require Mr. Avery to prove anything, are you still going to say, hey, unless he can prove to me who actually did this crime, I can't find him not guilty? Answer, I would have that feeling, but I would still make up my decision for the court at that time. I would still be wondering that after the case has been settled, yes. Question, and I can tell because of your interest in how certain science can be, that you like to have something cut and dried. You like an answer. Answer, yes. Question, right? Answer, yes. Question, but you have to understand that if you're selected on this jury, the question you are not going to be told, Well, I take that back. You may find yourself in a situation where you have heard all the evidence from the state and you are just not convinced beyond a reasonable doubt that Mr. Avery did it. But you also won't know necessarily who did if commit this crime, if not him. Is that going to trouble you, or will you be able to render a verdict of not guilty if you really have reasonable doubt that he did it? Answer. I will be able to render a verdict one way or the other, at the time. Question. Okay. Answer. And then I would definitely look forward to hearing more in the future as to where the case has gone from there. Question. Okay. So after hearing all of this, do you think this is a case that you want to be a jury on? Answer. No. Question. Jury on? Answer. I do not want to be a jury on. Question. But you would do so if it's your duty. Answer. That's correct. Question. And wouldn't have regrets, and would you be willing to stick it out and do whatever it takes, no matter how long it requires deliberating after the case is over? Answer. It's my duty, and that's what I would do. I would have regrets of lost time and lost wages and so on and so forth of that sort, and hope that it wouldn't drag out beyond the estimated 6 weeks. But yeah, there could be regrets of things that I missed, the money that I missed out on, but I could step up and do it, yes. Question. All right. Answer. Not top on my list of things to do. Question. I don't think it's on top of most people's list, but it is a civic duty and we appreciate you coming here today, even and taking time out. So thank you, sir. Answer. Thank you. Voir dire examination by the court. Question. Mr. Klein, I have just one follow-up. The one disadvantage of the jurors in your position is you haven't heard the instructions yet, so you don't know what the rules are that the court is going to give you. But I can tell you that one of them is that if you're selected as a juror, that the jurors have to base the decision only on the evidence that they hear. Answer. Correct. Question. You have indicated both that you have some familiarity with Mr. Dassey's confession and also the recantation of that. We have a trial you may or may not hear any testimony about that for a variety of reasons that may or may not have anything to do with the credibility or believability of anything Mr. Dassey has said. If no evidence comes in, will you be able to base your decision only on the evidence that comes in at trial and not speculate about what other evidence might have been? Answer. I would do my best, but not to say that wouldn't still be in the back of my mind. Whether it would make me lean one way or the other at the final verdict, I really can't say. I would hope that it wouldn't, under your advisory. But I would definitely do my best. And question, do you believe as you sit here today that you can do that? Answer, 90% yes. And there's still a little bit of me that I would hope I would be able to. Question, well, if something doesn't come in, you really don't know what you are missing, right? You don't know how it would cut. Answer, correct. Question, can I ask you, what is it that what gives you concern? Why do you feel why are you only at 90%? Answer, due to the media and then the drastic events that were brought up, I guess that doesn't necessarily give me an opinion, but it gives me faith that there can be some closure to this. Question, well, if you are a juror, you are going to hear a lot more evidence. Answer, correct. Question, then there's been, answer, correct. Question, in the press, and I will instruct you at the end of the trial, if you are selected as a juror, that you can only base your decision on the evidence that you hear. Can you do that? Answer, yes. Yes, I would put everything else aside and do that. The court. All right. I will have the clerk escort you from the courtroom.